In this follow-up to the previous episode, like every photo shoot, you have to approach it with a plan, but leave a little bit of wiggle room just in case one of the many variables are just not variabulating. Things are just not going to plan. The math is not mathing. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? There's always something happening. So, we just have to adjust. That's just a part of what we do. For this session, that adjustment began almost immediately. According to the mood board, for the first shot to make sense, we needed to have a few elements working together. I think of photography as a formula, probably because I went to school for engineering and they kind of brainwash you to think a specific way, or my brain just finds peace approaching things this way. But anyway, the formula. So I had to consider the direction and intensity of the sun, the position and pose of the model, where I would put my reflector or my strobe, the position of the car in relationship to the house, and most importantly, can we clearly see the swimwear? I needed to shoot dark enough to protect the skin complexion of the model while not bringing the background completely into focus, while at the same time making sure the background wasn't too dark, while also not blowing out the car paint texture. I really wanted to make sure you guys could see like it was white, but not like completely white. And also, making sure the swimwear wasn't blown out. Because I was tethered into Capture One, it made this process a lot easier. So as I'm shooting, I can actually push and pull the highlight or the white levers under the HDR settings and actually see if I'm blowing out my highlights, if the sky is still visible. I could, push and pull the shadows to see what was what. And it just sped up the process. So everybody was able to see that we got it. Once I knew I had my settings correct, it was just a matter of shooting it. There was also a shot with the model on the hood of the car while I'm shooting through the windshield. We all found out at the same time that the windshield had like a green film or tint to it, and it created a color cast. That was annoying because that's not something that any of us would have known until we actually got there and were shooting. So we had to make adjustments. In addition to that, there was also a big glare coming through because the model was now backlit. So the sun is behind her, I'm inside of the car, linked over. She's on the hood of the car and I'm shooting her, and there's this giant glare coming through as well. So even though we had the reflector bouncing light back on her face so she was evenly lit, my position and angle had to be adjusted. And by the time that I figured that part out to get rid of the flare, we didn't have enough time to continue shooting that session. So we did get a couple of shots that we liked, but I know if I had maybe like a minute or two more, I would have got an even better shot. The rest of the images that I got of the car were pretty straightforward. We just had to expose for the model and take the shot. There wasn't like really any other complications I had to run through. After that, we moved to the back of the house. Now, by the pool was a lot easier to deal with, but because of the number of looks that we had to do, I had to really get creative with how I was positioning the models and where I was putting them, because I needed to have all of them facing the same way. So if you guys saw the first episode, I kind of spoke on this, but I needed basically to keep the models facing towards the light so that I can get even light on their face and on the wardrobe itself or on the swimwear, which also meant that my background was going to be similar. So I was doing a lot of moving and trying to shift the model certain ways so that it just seemed like we were in a different place, and also making the place look a lot bigger. And in some of the shots, the models were actually backlit, which meant I need to use my reflector or my strobe as a fill light. It was just always a matter of trying to get like the distance and stuff correct so that the lighting will be even. And I think also as the heat increased, it may have been affecting my strobe. I can't verify that, but after doing a bunch of tests, I knew there were no issues with my strobes mechanically, and everything was already updated prior to coming out there. So I'm pretty much thinking that the sun just made things not operate at 100%. As the heat increased and the sun moved, we all adjusted by shooting in the shaded parts of the pool area, and also just speeding up how fast we were going. At that point, the models and I were used to each other. Everybody kind of knew like what we were trying to accomplish, so it was a lot easier to shoot faster. Now, you guys in the last one, but you always have to wait for the client to put things out first. But yeah, my favorite shot was with the drones. A few weeks before the project, I had a consultation with the client, and in that, she explained to me that she wanted some drone shots. I was super excited about that because I had a drone already. I hadn't used it in a while, but I still, I know how to use it. I was excited to use it. And in me trying to test out and make sure the thing was updated, my drone lost its mind. So I have a Mavic Air, and this was like from like 2017, so it was a very old drone. But it still produced quality content. Like I've used it on a couple of different projects, no issue. But I don't know what happened. It just lost its mind. And some people probably gonna say, why would you do that? Listen, man, I cut the drone on in my office. Okay? Don't laugh at me. It is what it is. I cut the drone on in my office. The drone took off in the air, was floating, and then it just lost its mind. It just ran into a wall, hit the ground, a whole bunch of lights and noises were happening. I didn't know what was going on. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to take this outside, see if I can update it while I'm outside. With that drone, all of the updates were happening through my phone. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm gonna go outside. I turn this thing on, it lifts up in the air again, and then it just loses its complete mind for the second time. It made a bunch of noise, said some stuff, and then next thing you know, it flew up into a tree, came back down. It looked at me, took off again, hit a roof, hit a wall. Next thing I know, it was on the ground under a truck, which was great. It was really fun to see happen to your drone right after you tell your client that you can get her some drone shots. So that led to me looking into the DJI A3S, which I love this drone. And then also just being a smarter businessman and also not wanting to have any issues with the law, with any FAA, or just any issues with anybody. I wanted to make sure that I had already done all the stuff I needed to do. So I took the Part 107 exam after studying for 4 days, and I passed that with an 87. I'm gonna make a video about that. I keep saying I'm gonna do it. I've actually already written a script, but I need to actually just like record it. So I did all that stuff in preparation for this project, and everything worked itself out. So we were able to get this drone shot. The model got into place. I took the drone up in the air. We had zero issues with anything. The model responded well. I took the shots we need to take. I think it was like maybe 20, 30 shots, but I'll show you guys here on the screen in a few minutes. And then that was it. It was super easy, but I was so excited because of all of the additional prep work. And then also, not just the prep work, but I think as a creative, it's always fun when you get to push yourself a little bit more. I think that dopamine hit was something I really, really needed for my artistic soul. So like, super, super happy about that. Out of all of the shots, the most complicated one from a retouching standpoint was the last shot. We had the model placed in a way that it made sense for the mood board, meaning we're using that as like the foundation of the shot. And then, I can add my sauce on top of that. But I got her in place, and then the sun was to the left of me, which was to her right. It created a shadow coming across her body. So I used the reflector to bounce that back. I actually tried using the strobes at first, but again, I think I was getting some weird outputs from the heat because I think it was like over 100, or at least felt like 107 or 103 or something crazy. It was some crazy number that I didn't want to acknowledge, but I think that caused the issue with the strobe. Thankfully, I had the reflector, so I was able to bounce some light back in, get rid of those shadows. But from an exposure standpoint, I had to make adjustments. I had to kind of do what I did with the car at the beginning, but just in a different way. Meaning I shot everything a little bit darker to make sure that I wasn't losing the highlights. I just basically underexposed the entire shot. But in person, it just looks really dark, as if I didn't get my exposure right. I knew what I was doing, and I'm glad the client trusts me because we worked together before. And then also I always talk to her very confidently about what I'm doing because I do know what I'm doing. So my approach for this kind of mirrored like a HDR experience. Now, it's not the HDR like you used to see years ago when people would have like these just ultra HDR shots and it had just this weird crispy like effect to it. I'm not talking about that. What I did was I took the original shot. I had one image that was exposed darker, meaning I brought the exposure down on one, turned that into a TIFF, and I had one where I boosted all the shadows up, made that into a TIFF, and then when I brought them into Photoshop, I painted what I needed in various areas to make the shot look even. Now, this was only on her body. The rest of the background was what it was shot at. What I did do to the background though was I needed to remove all remnants of farm life because surrounding where we were was a bunch of farms. There's horses, there's cows. You could smell that we were around farm animals. You could just get that sense in the air. It was not fun for like a good 10 minutes, because I don't know which animal did it, but one of the animals definitely did what it needed to do, and we all knew at the same time. So I had to remove that from the photos. Not the smell, you can't smell stuff in photos, but I had to remove the existence of those things out of the photos. The hard part was that there were 5 images from the same area with different poses. So the client loved that look. She liked where we had everything set up, but I wanted everything to match. So once I fixed the background to remove everything, I needed that same background. So I turned one of the images into a plate, and then I composited the model into each image. So you shouldn't be able to tell that there's a difference, but it required a lot of finessing to, line everything up and make sure shadows fit, make sure that umbrellas and all types of stuff. And if her leg moved and you could see more of the parts of the pool, I had to make sure all that was showing. That just took additional time that was necessary, and it worked out. But that was definitely the most complicated shot in the whole thing. And also, I don't use AI generated content in my work at all. So like all this was manual. I don't use general fill for anything. And I tried. I promise I did. I don't want to be the old man, like, the old crusted man. I just want to stick to my ways. Like, that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. So I did give it a chance. I really did. And it just doesn't feel right to my soul. I prefer just doing stuff myself. That was a lot of talking, but I think I covered everything, right? You guys have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand or just leave a comment below or send me a DM on IG. I am an open book. I'm here to help folks. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Press the like button, because that's what you do when you like things. And if you made it this far in the video, you obviously liked the video, which means I'm doing my job. Appreciate you guys. And subscribe if you haven't already. Like I always say, you guys hear the all my videos. I know we are creating for our friends, our family, our network, for our clients, for everybody else. Make sure you're making time to create for yourself. All right. Peace.